If you are to live, Raven said to me, then it would be wise to pay your respects to Egbert.
Live! What's good? Welcome to part 3, the excerpt from The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell. If you have not seen part 1 or part 2, I'll put a little thingy that'll pop up here somewhere. You know, if you want to go check those ones out so you have the context of what's happening in the scene for this one, they're up there. They're up there. Probably. Maybe. Should be. Probably. Unless I forgot. I might have forgot. Well, we'll see what happens. Play it by ear. Now, I talked about a couple different factors that I was working on. The first time, talked about that storytelling element because it's coming from an older Uhtred of Bebbanburg. Second time, talked about voice placing and voice printing and differentiating the characters. And I think the last thing to me that was really important to get across the scene was to be able to capture how young Uhtred was feeling. He doesn't have a lot of lines. He doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't speak a lot. So much of the context and so much of the things given are coming from the older Uhtred.
But I am sure I was more confused and far more frightened than I have made it sound.
But we can understand how a kid is going to feel when he's put into that situation, when he's surrounded by enemies. And in this excerpt, when it's revealed that, man, your life is not guaranteed. Like, you could still die. Like, you might not make it out of here, Chief. Like, you might. You probably will. You probably will. But also, you might not. Which is kind of, the answer Uhtred was given.
I think you'll live, Raven said.
So as a kid, how do you capture that feeling of fear and of danger and not having a protector? And what are you willing to do to survive? And I think that was an important aspect to bring that kind of anxiety, that fear, the uncertainty of what's going to happen, and bringing that into that young Uhtred with every line that he speaks. How can I portray that? How can I show how he's feeling? Not just through the narration and through the story being told and the context given, but how do I add that into my performance as well?
I am Uhtred of Bebbanburg. I'd been coached by Raven in what I should say.
But yeah, those are kind of the three things that for this excerpt, I really want to focus on. So I hope you enjoy part 3 of this excerpt from The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell. Again, if you haven't read these books, go read them. And I hope you enjoy this excerpt as much as I enjoyed recording it. Until next time, take care. We'll see you in the next one.
I described all this to Raven, who wanted to know what the worried man sitting between Ivar and Uber looked like. No arm rings, I said. A gold circlet round his neck, brown hair, long beard, quite old. Everyone looks old to the young, Raven said. That must be King Egbert. King Egbert? I never heard of such a person. He was Ealdorman Egbert, Raven explained. But he made his peace with us in the winter, and we have rewarded him by making him king here in Northumbria. He is king, but we are the lords of the land. He chuckled, and young as I was, I understood the treachery involved. Ealdorman Egbert held estates to the south of our kingdom, and was what my father had been in the north, a great power. The Danes had suborned him, kept him from the fight, and now he would be called king. Yet it was plain that he would be a king on a short leash. If you are to live, Raven said to me, then it would be wise to pay your respects to Egbert. Live! I blurted out the word. I'd somehow thought that having survived the battle, that of course I would live. I was a child, someone else's responsibility, but Raven's words hammered home my reality. I should have never confessed my rank. I thought better to be a living slave than a dead ealdorman. I think you'll live, Raven said. Ragnar likes you, and Ragnar gets what he wants. He says you attacked him. I did. Yes. He would have enjoyed that. A boy who attacks Earl Ragnar. That must be some boy, eh? Too good a boy to waste on death, he says. But then my son always had a regrettably sentimental side. I would have chopped your head off, but here you are, alive. And I think it would be wise if you were to bow to Egbert.
No, I think. Looking back so far into my past, I probably changed that night's events. There was a feast. Ivar and Uber were there. Egbert was trying to look like a king. Raven was kind to me, but I am sure I was more confused and far more frightened than I have made it sound. Yet in other ways, my memories of the feast are very precise. Watch and learn, my father had told me. And Raven made me watch, and I did learn. I learned about treachery, especially when Ragnar, summoned by Raven, took me by the collar and led me to the high dais where, after a surely gesture of permission from Ivar, I was allowed to approach the table. "Lord King," I squeaked, then knelt so that a surprised Egbert had to lean forward to see me. "I am Uhtred of Bebenberg." I'd been coached by Raven in what I should say. "And I seek your lordly protection." That produced silence, except for the mutter of the interpreter talking to Ivar. Then, Uber woke, looked startled for a few heartbeats as if he was not sure where he was. Then he stared at me, and I felt my flesh shrivel, for I'd never seen a face so malevolent. He had dark eyes, and they were full of hate, and I wanted the earth to swallow me. I really don't like yard work. You know, the mowing, the mulching, the weeding, the pruning, the constant battle between you and Mother Nature. And let's face it, I have more important things to do. So, I've given up, quit, resigned, turned it over to the pros.